Hey guys, welcome back. In one of the previous video, I mentioned that we can have different kind of triggers to run our test. So from a local machine, we are capturing the name as username. But when it comes to continuous integration, the triggers could be like pull request, must to main, on a schedule, manually triggered, or an external event. And it would be nice if rather than just capturing this name as, for example, my system username, which is this one for Mac machine and this is for the Windows machine. If we can also capture different kind of triggers, like let's say on a pull request or a must domain, etc., etc. And the way we can implement this is, if we go back, we can create a variable called triggered by, and depending on if the value is passed or if it is empty or non-empty, we can decide if you want to give system username or if you want to use the value from the CI. So let's create a variable called triggered by, and let's keep it empty, and we can say that this value should be passed from CI, right? Passed from CI. Okay, and based on this variable, now we can decide, let's say if we create another method called private string get triggered by, and we could try to get this value from our config, and the way we do it is using test environment factory get instance get config. Okay, so let's maybe first do that config, and because this variable is inside a method, instead of making it a snake case all caps, we will keep it as a normal variable. Okay, config, and then we can have a check which says if config dot get string, and if this value is empty, so if this value is empty, then we are running from a local machine, and basically we want to get the local machine's system username, right? So then we can return this, else we know that we are running it from CI, and if we're running it from CI, we want to return this variable. Yep. Another thing that you can see is, like, if you're running it from local machine, the value is not going to change. If you're running it from CI, again the value is not going to change for the whole run. So this thing can be, instead of like keeping it like this, in which case it'll try to evaluate every single time, we can make this method as static, and in fact we only need to calculate this once. If we put it here, and let's say if we call it as triggered by, so let's make a constant here, and we can use this constant over here because it is not going to change for the whole run, right? So with this, we have the trigger based on wherever we are running. We have got the value defined in our config file, and now what we need to do is we need to change our reusable workflow to also accept this value. So if we say D, we want this variable Windows 1, so we want this variable, and its value, we want to get the GitHub event name, right? So let's say if you search for how to find GitHub event type, I already have searched this before. So it says if you use GitHub event name, you will get the event name, like pull request. This is what we're interested in. So let's go back. Let's put it inside the brackets, because if there's any space, we will not have any problems. And remember not to give any spaces between the equal sign, otherwise you'll have a problem. So with this, let's first try to run it from the local machine, just to be sure that we have not broken anything. Maybe clean test, not test, but test. Maybe clean test. And this should not change anything. If we look back into, not here, if we refresh, the local time is 2:36, so it's 3:36, 1 hour ahead, and I'm still able to get the trigger by and the whole record, right? So now we can go ahead and create a pull request. So let's go and add this file, test run metadata. Yep, added a method, and we added a key to get the value. Okay, so cool. Okay, so it's like added triggers for CI. Commit. I already have created a branch. I'm on this branch, so let's push the changes. Control C, Control V. Let's create a pull request. Create pull request. And let's see if we can get the right trigger or not. By the way, this is not the first time I'm running this. I already tried this in my previous attempt of the video, and I could not see the run, in Elasticsearch, and I was lost for a couple of minutes. And then I finally found the root cause, and then I thought it would be nice, rather than doing a code walkthrough, if I do this again. So let's go to actions. Just click here, test with Maven, the test run, and we expect some results to be seen on Elastic. Local time is 2:38. I was looking for some results on 3:38, but when I refreshed, I saw nothing. Right, the last one is from 2 minutes ago, which is what I did from my local machine. And then I was completely lost. I was trying to do some debugging. I was trying to see if I'm missing a extension over here, which I was not. Have I disabled something, enabled something? That was also not the case, because I was specifying the group which I want to run, and which was smoke test in this particular case. So everything should have run, because we do have one smoke test as well. And then I was completely confused. And the reason why I did not see the results over here is, when I'm running my test from my local machine, it is adding 1 hour extra. But when I'm running it from CI, and because the CI server could be hosted on US, it is taking the time, exactly the same as what we have in Elastic. So this is a bit of a problem. Like I said, I ran the test at 2:38. You can see there's an entry at 2:38. And here the trigger is given as pull request. And now if I merge this PR, let's just go ahead and merge this. It should trigger another set of tests, and this time the local time is 2:40. Confirm squash and merge, and it should trigger more tests, and now we should have another event type which is on merge to main. Okay, so let's see when the tests are triggered. Just wait for a couple of seconds. Okay, now the tests have started. Time is still 2:40, so we should get something with the timestamp of 2:40. If I refresh this, and I think if I go down a little bit on 2:40, you see the trigger is now 2:40 on push to the main branch. So we have a trigger from pull request, we have trigger from person, we have a trigger on push to main, and with this we have, we can see that even if there are other triggers like from a manual run on a schedule external event, in fact manual trigger is something that we can test right away. So let's go ahead and see if we can test that. Actions, manually run workflow, main branch, tag of test to include, smoky test, that's it, run workflow. And the cool thing is now with Elastic, we can, create graphs. I think we already have a graph on, where is it? On dashboard, which is about, is it not here? Seems not. Dashboard, oh no, I think this was the one. Dashboard, test run status, triggered by count, triggered by enum was not found. Refresh, let's create a new one. So let's go to dashboard. And if I create a dashboard, create visualization, and not the plasma one, 01. And in here, if I want to pick a table, and in the table, if I want to see what has been triggering the test, now I could see all these different reasons here. So I ran 31 tests from my Windows machine, 13 from my Mac machine, 11 were based on a merge domain, and 3 were based on a pull request, and 1 is from a workflow dispatch. So this is good information, right? Save and return. Cool. So I think with this we covered how we can where is it? How we can capture different kind of triggers based on what is running our test and report that into Elastic to derive some sort of useful insights out of it. And maybe one more thing which I can do is here we were capturing the test run as a timestamp, which is good, which is what we need. But what I realized is if I go back, discover, confirm, that sometimes it's not very visible that this test run is unique. So you can actually filter on this test run, and you can see there were 13 tests as a part of this particular run. But it's not very visible because it's a timestamp, and sometimes it's trickier to see that these were the part of one run, this is part of another run. So what I want to do is I want to add a random test run name, so that it's easier to identify, hey, this run was named something else, this was named something else, and we can even pass important informations like PR numbers or release numbers from our CI to differentiate between what triggered our test, right? And for that, I want to use at this moment something called a faker library, which will generate random faker data, which is also a useful concept to understand for a core test framework perspective, that you should have a mechanism to generate random fake data. So that is something that I can cover in the next video. So I hope this video was useful, from a testing perspective to capture some insights about test runs metadata information. And in the next video, I'll show you something about Faker library and how we can use Faker to generate a random test run name for our test runs. Cool. Thank you. See you guys. Cheers. Bye.